Huh? Thought I just... Okay. That was weird. Alright. I think I went around and dumped everything. So... In theory, we were trying to get to Asgard. Yeah. Stigson. So Hades Piano first. Libera is also something that we have. Use for this one. Let's have a second here. Look at our stuff. Scatter signal being used to phenomenon. Fanatical bionics and haze gas. Okay. So there's two that's in the Hades thing. Man was Gareth asked you to look for his missing brother. System. One civil you uncovered. Alright, so we did all these. It's a hostage situation if we go that way. So, yeah. What's Codex have to say about everything? Personal history. Born on Earth, but you never knew your parents. Child of the streets, you learned to live by your wits and guts, surviving in the hidden underbelly of the megatropolis of humanity's homeworld. Eager to find a better life, you joined the Alliance military. When you came of age, you volunteered for an expedition to Akuz, a lush world on the outskirts of the Alliance base that had suddenly dropped out of contact. Arriving on the surface, your patrol found the settlement intact, but no survivors. At nightfall, the Thresher Maw struck, mindless abominations of teeth and tentacles that rose up from beneath the earth. Constant gunfire couldn't drown out the shrieks of your fellow soldiers as they were dragged bound for gruesome death. 50 Marine dies on Akuz. You were the only one to make it back to the landing zone alive. A monument on the planet commemorates the massacre, a grim reminder of the price humanity must pay as they spread throughout the stars. Human cultures remained indistinguishably divided. Some conversed in Spanish, others in Mandarin, Arabic, Swahili, etc. Every alien race has their own equally broad panoply of languages and dialects. Most individuals only know their mother tongue and rely on machine translations. Modern portable computers allow anyone with a few hundred credits of equipment to enjoy seamless real-time translation of the alien languages, courtesy of handheld PDFs, computers, and clothing or jewelry, or subdermal implants. Without fast and accurate translation, galactic trade and culture could not exist. Whoa, too far. Governments provide subsidized software. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. I should have my glasses on. Updated through the public extranet on the fly, often as users approach spaceport customs and facilities. Even Baltarians, who isolated themselves from galactic society nearly 2 decades ago, take pains to provide up-to-date glossaries and linguistic rules, though most suspect this is only so they can continue exploding propaganda. It is considered broad-minded and practical to be able to speak without machine aid. Children often take courses in alien languages. Most races can speak the simplified artificial trade tongue with little difficulty. Some species must rely on machine translation to interact with the rest of the galaxy. Hanar, for example, cannot reproduce the spoken language of any humanoid species, and other races cannot reproduce the Hanar bioluminescence without mechanical aid. Newly discovered or obscure races don't have machine translation available until the linguistics have had time to study them. The genophage bioweapon was created to end the Krogan rebellions. From the start, the Krogan had overwhelmed the Council. Only timely first contact with the Terrans saved the Council races. The Terrans fought the Krogan to a standstill, but the sheer weight of Krogan numbers indicated the war could not be won through conventional means. The Terrans collaborated with the Solarians to genetically engineer a counter to the rapid breeding of the Krogan. The genophage virus gained the energy to replicate by eating key genetic sequences. Every cell in every Krogan had to be altered for the weapon to be foolproof, otherwise the Krogan could have used gene-based therapy to fix the affected tissues. Once the genophage strain could find no more genes to eat, it would starve and die, limiting the spin-off mutation and contamination. This created genetic flaw is hereditary. Solarians believed the genophage would be used as a deterrent, a position the Terrans viewed as naive. Once the project was complete, the Terrans mass-produced and deployed it. The Krogan homeworld, their colonies, and all occupied worlds were infected. The resulting mutation made only 1 in 1,000 Krogan pregnancies carried to term. It did not reduce the fertility, but the offspring viability. The rare females able to carry a child to term became prizes the Krogan warlords fought brutal battles over. The Krogan are a shadow of their former glory. While the rebellions took place centuries ago, they are constantly reminded of the horror of the genophage and their inability to counter it. The release of the genophage is still controversial, bitterly debated in many circles. After the Rachni War, the quick-breeding Krogan expanded at the expense of their neighbors. Warlords ravaged their veteran soldiers to seize living space, while the council races were still grateful. Over centuries, the Krogan conquered world after world. There was always just one more needed. When the council finally demanded the withdrawal from the Asari colony of Lucia, Krogan overlord Codex stormed off the citadel, declaring the council to take their world back. Daring the council to take their world back. I could get my glasses, but apparently I won't. But the council had taken precautions. The finest STG officers What? STG. It's STG. The very first time you use an acronym, you should put the word in there and then use the acronym after it. Anyway, the STG officers and the Asari huntresses had been drafted into a covert observation force, the Office of Special Tactics and Reconnaissance. Well, that's not it, because that'd be SGR. The Spectres opened the war with crippling strategic strikes. Krogan planets went dark as computer viruses flooded the extranet. Sabotaged antimatter refineries disappeared in blue-white annihilation. Headstrong stations strattered into orbit, clogging debris rammed by pre-placed suicide freighters. Still, this only delayed the inevitable. The war would have been lost if not for first contact with the Turians, who responded to the Krogan threat with a prompt declaration of war. Being on the far side of the Krogan space of the Council, the Turians advanced rapidly into the lightly defended Krogan rear areas. The Krogan responded by dropping space stations and asteroids on Turian colonies. 3 worlds were rendered completely inhabitable. This was precisely the wrong approach to take with the Turians. Each is first and foremost a public servant, willing to risk his life to protect his comrades. Rather than increasing public war weariness, Krogan tactics stiffened Tauran resolve. The arrival of Turan tactics saved many worlds from the warlords' marauding fleets, but it took development of the genophage bioweapon to end the war. There were decades of unrest afterwards. Rogue warlords and holdout groups of insurgents refused to surrender or disappeared into the frontier systems to become pirates. Quarian economy. The migrant fleet has little economic base, operating in a state of perpetual hand-to-mouth. While Quarian ships include light maneuvering and assembly plants, they lack heavy industries such as refining and shipbuilding. The fleet has tankers for water purification and oxygen cracking, but the space-intense nature of agriculture limits food production. A single disaster could destroy the fragile balance. Quarians earn income in creative ways. Because the government is obliged to provide food, water, and air, and medical support for every individual, the Conclave strategically determines the course of the fleet to bring in resources and income. A species who suspects the migrant fleet is headed towards their space often offers a gift of surplus starships, fuel, and resources to convince the Conclave to alter course. As the fleet passes through a system, swarms of mining vessels work over asteroids for metals and siliceous materials and cometary bodies for water ice and organics. Quarian miners are adept at locating and strip mining spaceborne resources. This sparks conflict with corporations already working in the system. Large mining concerns spend millions on lobbyists and public relations portraying the Quarians as locusts devouring the resources of a system before moving on. The greatest asset of the Quarians is their rarefied skills. Most are experienced miners due to their life of perpetual salvage and repair. They are skilled engineers and technicians. More than once, the very corporations that lobby against the Quarians have made backroom deals with the fleet, arranging for skilled Quarians to fill space engineering jobs that other species would demand higher wages for. Quarians are widely hated among the working classes. The Quarians are coming to take our jobs is a common response to the fleet's approach. Due to the Quarians' precarious existence and the need to enforce strict rationing, the government is somewhat autocratic. The migrant fleet operations are directed by the Admiralty, a board of 5 military officers who are advised by a legislative body called the Conclave. Each vessel in the fleet has a right to send representatives to the Conclave aboard a flagship. The number of representatives is based on crew size. Larger clans with bigger ships and more votes form cores of political blocs. Opposition comes from Outriders coalition with delegates from thousands of smaller ships. The Admiralty defers to the Conclave's decisions in most circumstances. However, if all 5 agree that a Conclave decision jeopardizes the survival of the fleet and cannot get the Conclave to address their concerns, they have the right to summarily overturn the legislative decision. After the Admiralty uses this extraordinary power, they must resign. If the Admiralty does not step down after using their veto, the rest of the military is obligated to arrest them. Each ship captain has the authority over his vessel, but is advised by an elected civil council, just as the Admiralty is advised by the Conclave. This relationship may range from cooperation to polite tolerance to outright hostility, but any captain who overrules his council without good reason is relieved by command by the Admiralty. Many Quarian ships are owned by other clans who pool their resources to purchase used vessels from private sellers. Large ships are prestigious for big, rich clans, but a small ship means status for a small clan with enough personal wealth to afford a private vessel. Clan vessel captains are not subject to dismissal by the Admiralty. Abusive captains are a family problem if they do not disrupt operations of the fleet. The migrant fleet is the largest concentration of starfaring vessels in the galaxy, sprawling across millions of kilometers. It can take days for the entire fleet to pass through a mass relay. When the Quarians fled their homeworld, the fleet was a motley aggregation of freighters, shuttles, industrial vessels, and the odd warship. After 3 centuries, all have been modified to support larger crews as comfortably as possible. As the Quarians achieved stability, they began weeding out the ships least suitable for long-term habitation, selling them and pooling money to buy larger and more space-worthy hulls. This process is ongoing as the vessels wear out and break down. Some ships enjoy dedicated captains with full privacy and sanitary facilities. Many more are former freighters whose cargo bays and containers are pressurized and divided into family spaces using certain metal cubicle bulkheads. The Quarians enliven these austere spaces with colorful quilts, tapestries, which also help muffle sound. The day-to-day operations of the fleet, traffic control, station keeping, supply distribution, and so on, are under military jurisdiction. Though the ship captains have the authority to deviate from their assigned positions and may leave the fleet at any time, they are assumed to do so at their own risk. As the migrant fleet moves around the galaxy, many ships split off to pursue individual goals, returning days or years later. When Quarians of the migrant fleet reach young adulthood, they must leave their birth ship and find a new crew to accept them as permanent residents. To prove themselves, they must recover something of value. This is offered to the prospective captain as proof that they will not be a mere burden on the shoestring resources of the ship. This process is called the pilgrimage. Stripped of ritual, the pilgrimage is merely an attempt to maintain genetic diversity within the small, relatively isolated population bases that make up the migrant fleet. If a young stayed and married within their birth vessel, the risk of inbreeding would increase sharply. The Quarians are surgically fitted with their various immunity-boosting implants in preparation for leaving on the pilgrimage. Having grown up within the sterile, controlled environments of the migrant fleet ships, the Quarians have virtually no natural immune system. Sigil. These diplomatic talks occurred. Reading Silverville Conventions. Okay. These diplomatic talks occurred in the wake of Krogan rebellions as a response to the destruction of the conflict and attempt to distance the Council from the brutal Krogan warfare. The conventions regulate the use of weapons of mass destruction. A WMD, see, you say that out, and then you put what the acronym is. WMD causes environmental alterations to a world. A bomb that produces a large crater is not considered a WMD. A bomb that creates a nuclear winter is. The use of a WMD is forbidden on garden worlds like Earth, with ecospheres that can readily support a population. If a habitable world is destroyed, it will not be replaced for millions of years. Conventions do not forbid the use of WMD on hostile worlds or in sealed space station environments. Many militaries continue to develop and maintain stockpiles. Conventions grades weapons of mass destruction. The Conventions graded weapons of mass destruction into tiers of concern. Tier 1 is the greatest threat to galactic peace. These are large kinetic impactors such as asteroid drops or deorbiting space stations, effectively free and available in any system in the form of debris left over from planetary accretion. The kinetic impactors are the weapon of choice for terrorists and third galaxy nations. Okay. Tier 2. Uncontrolled self-replicating weapons such as nanotechnology, viral or bacteriological organisms, von Neumann devices, and destructive computer viruses. Am I supposed to know who von Neumann is? I feel like they talked about that earlier. Somebody talked about it. These weapons can lie dormant for millennia, waiting for a careless visitor to carry them on to another world. Tier 3. Large energy burst weapons such as nuclear or anti-minor warheads. Tier 4. Alien species deliberately introduced to crowd out native forms necessary for the health of an ecosystem. Ecological tampering can take years to bear fruit, making it difficult to prove. Citadel Security is a volunteer police force answering to the Citadel Council. The 200,000 constables of the CSEC are responsible for maintaining public order in the densely populated Citadel. They also provide pirate suppression, customs enforcement, and search and rescue throughout the Citadel cluster. CSEC has 6 divisions: enforcement, uniformed officers who patrol the Citadel and respond to emergencies; investigation, detectives who puzzle out the truth behind crimes and bring perpetrators to justice; customs, screens the thousands of passengers and cargo containers that come through the Citadel's ports every day; network, deals with the cyber crimes like identity and copyright theft, hacking and viral attacks, and illegal artificial intelligence. Special response deals with hostage situations, bombs, and heavily armored criminals. In the unlikely event that attackers board the Citadel, they are also the front line of defense, armed with military-grade equipment. Patrol, the naval arm, the ships stationed throughout the Citadel cluster. Unlike the other divisions, they are rarely seen on the Citadel, nor do they stay in one place long. Joining CSEC is prodigious. Applications must be sponsored by a Citadel Counselor, or the embassy of an associated council race. Generally, applicants have many years of distinguished service in the military or police force of their nations, but an inexperienced applicant with demonstrable talent will be fairly considered. CSEC and the Spectres are often at odds. Many CSEC members, notably current executor Venari Palin, believe that allowing Spectres to be above the law is a dangerous practice. The actions of Saren Artius, anyway, lend credence to this position. The Spectres, in turn, are aggravated when CSEC's dedication to procedure and due process hampers their investigations. The ring is an enclosed loop of park-like space. As in like a nature park, serving as the connection point for the wards. The interior wells are lined up with the embassies of influential species and private residences for the galaxy's elite. The Presidium is full of open-air restaurants, bars, and luxurious meeting areas. Gravity is about 1/3 Earth normal. A holographic sky is projected over the ceiling of the ring. Unlike the 24/7 bustle of the wards, the Presidium maintains a 20-hour day schedule with 6-hour night where the lights are dimmed and the sky goes through a night cycle. Offices and residences are often open to the interior. It is not unusual for embassies to have no exterior wall at all. This does not cause crime problems due to the heavy CSEC present and unambiguous monitoring devices in the Presidium. Thieves are quickly identified and apprehended. The ring is the location of the Citadel spaceports. Being closer to the center of the spin, there is less motion for the ship to match, and the reduced spin gravity makes handling cargo easier. Hundreds of ships pass through the Citadel every day, and every species with an embassy is granted a private dock. The tower at the center of the ring holds the administration of the Citadel Council. The tower rises over a kilometer from the ring, appearing to thrust forward parallel to the ward arms. The tower is at the center of the spin axis. It experiences little centrifugal force, Gravity is maintained using mass effect fields at 90 degrees angle to the ring and the wards. A consular dock can be found at the base of the tower. While normally used for diplomatic couriers and spectre business, the shuttles docked here can evacuate the council government in an emergency. The citadel is surrounded by a blue-tinted reflection of the nebula. The light of the nebula is actually light from the citadel, scattered and reflected back at the station. At first, the Serpent Nebula was assumed to be made by a microscopic construction of debris. Prevailing theory holds that the Protheans used molecular nanotechnology to manufacture the incredibly durable material used in the citadel. But unlike other nebulae, the Serpent does not dissipate over time, therefore it must be replenished constantly. The current popular theory is that non-recyclable waste collected by the Citadel's keeper is somehow rendered down to the atomic or molecular level and injected into the cloud. The thick nebula represents a navigational hazard. Beyond the relatively clear areas of the Citadel, electronic discharges are common. These are not blocked by kinetic barriers and can severely damage metal-framed starships. In addition, some dense knots of dust can overwhelm the repulsion of kinetic barriers on smaller ships. If such a vessel is moving fast enough at the time, the effects are similar to being hit by a sandblaster. Oh, that's not good. Attempting to reach the Citadel through open space navigation is unadvisable. The only safe approach is through the various mass effect relays that orbit it. Although the Citadel is equipped with mass effect generating element 0 cores, most of the gravity on the station is generated by the centrifugal force of rotation. Rotation at 3.5 minutes per revolution. Rotational gravity in wards is 1.02 Earth. Rotational gravity in the Prestium is 0.3 Earth. Total length is 44.7 kilometers. Diameter open is 12.8 kilometers. The ward length is 43.6 kilometers. Ward width is 330 meters. Okay. Prestium ring diameter is 7.2 kilometers, and the width is 553 meters. The armor is 13 meters thick. The population is 13.2 million, not including the keepers. Gross weight is 7.11 billion metric tons. I mean, does anything really weigh anything in space? Right? And the height of the Prestium Tower is 1,047 meters. Fun facts. The majority of the Citadel's population lives in the wards. 5 massive arms to the station that house the residential and commercial districts. Many galactic races have established cultural enclaves there. The population density and the cost of living are extremely high, akin to Earth cities such as Hong Kong and Singapore. The wards are open-topped, with skyscrapers rising from the superstructure. The towers are sealed against vacuum, as the breathable atmosphere envelope is only maintained to a height of about 7 meters. The atmosphere is contained by centrifugal force of rotation and a membrane of dense, colorless sulfur hexafluoride gas held in place by carefully managed mass effect fields. The view from the wards is spectacular. In the background, stars, the Serpent Nebula, and the nearby blue giant called the Widow move across the sky as the station rotates to stabilize itself. In the foreground, lights of the buildings and vehicles on the opposing ward arms perpetually shine. The Citadel has no real day or night, while the station keeps to a standard galactic time for political functions. Businesses rarely close, and residents acclimate to sleep and work according to personal need rather than day-night cycle. That sounds nice. Additions and modifications are constantly being constructed, though they must say within certain specifications that will not compromise the operation of the station. Occasionally, the keepers will descend on an area of the wards and move or change architecture without explanation. Residents have learned to live with these inexplicable intrusions. Due to the destructive potential of dreadnoughts, the council races agreed to at the Pharynix Naval Conference to fix a ratio of dreadnoughts constructed between themselves. At the top of the pyramid is a peacekeeping Turian fleet. Below the Turians are the other council races, currently the Asari and the Solarians. The council associate races are at the bottom. Human Systems Alliance is the part of this last group. The ratio of turn to council to associate dreadnoughts is 5-3-1. For every dreadnoughts humans are permitted to build, the Asari would have 3 and the Turians 5. Okay. Humanity and the Systems Alliance. The Alliance is the government and military of the humanity beyond soul. Humanity has encountered many galactic species. Wars have been few, but mistrust is rife. Politically, the Alliance is a peaceful trade partner of the Turians. As a practical matter, however, there is a seeming antagonism and bigotry between both populations over the First Contact War of 2157. The Alliance enjoys good relations with the Asari, though many privately believe the matriarchs are aristocratic and overcautious. Though humans know better to unconditionally trust any Solarian, their shared restless, reckless ways make them natural allies against the conservative Taurans and Asari. The Krogan have no unified government, but individuals are generally treated as potential criminals, a reputation most Krogans enjoy living down to. Okay. The Alliance has no formal contact with the Quarians. Their migrant fleet has not yet passed through any human-settled system. The Patarians are rivals for control of the Skylian Verge. They severed their treaties with the Citadel to prosecute a colony conflict against the Alliance. Officially, there is no war, but neither is there any peace. A military dragon. Ashore. When a ship's crew leaves the vessel, they are ashore. Though normally used regarding planets, it can refer to boarding a space station. Away. When a ship releases equipment tethering to a space station or surface dock, it is away. Aye. The proper way to acknowledge an order. If told to attack, the correct response is aye, aye, sir. If asked, are you proud to be a Marine? The correct response is yes, sir. I see. Okay. That's a good thing. ASAP, pronounced ASAP, is an acronym of as soon as possible. Belay, stop, cease. Bridge, the navigational center of a spaceship where the steering is done. Captain's mast, non-judiciary disciplinary proceedings by unit commanders. CICI, Combat Information Center. CIC, the command center of a spacecraft. The CIC is filled with sensor displays to make sense of the chaos of combat. DC, damage control, containment and repair of damage up to the spacecraft. EMC, electronic countermeasures, used to avoid enemy sensors from passive emission masking to active jamming. EVA, extravehicular activity, time spent in a pressure suit outside of a vehicle, spacecraft, or station. Flank. Flank is the side of a military formation. When soldiers are facing elsewhere, an enemy that can attack on the flank can often turn it or roll it up. FNG. Freaking new guys. A derisive term for inexperienced personnel. Groundside, surface of the planet. Helmsman, the crew member who pilots the spacecraft. Landar. Lidar. Light amplification detection and ranging. An active sensor that bounces lasers off an object to determine its bearing and distance. LiDAR has sufficient resolution that data can be reconstructed into an image. Shore party, spacecraft crew sent ashore on official business. Silent running, an old submarine return used aboard the Normandy to denote when the stealth systems are active. SITREP, abbreviation of Situation Report, an evaluation of the current military situation. Spacer, someone who spent most of their life in space. EXO, executive officer, second in command of an alliance ship. The EXO is responsible for administrative and personal matters. The Alliance uses a modified version of the ranking system that has been used for hundreds of years. Soldiers are classified into a rank and file, enlisted personnel, experienced non-commissioned soldiers, NCOs, and specifically trained officers. Too far. The divide between naval forces and ground forces, Marines, is small. The ground units are a specialized branch of the fleet, just as fighter squadrons are. The unity of command is imposed by the futility of fighting without control of orbit. Without the Navy, an army is pointless. The Marines, as a matter of pride, maintain some of their traditional rank titles. For example, Marines have privates and corporals instead of servicemen. In ascending order of responsibility, the ranks of the Alliance are serviceman 3rd class, private 2nd class, serviceman 2nd class, private 1st class, serviceman 1st class / corporal. Okay, and that's for enlisted men. So, NCOs, we have service chief, gunnery chief, and operations chief. And then for the officers, we have second lieutenant, first lieutenant, staff lieutenant, lieutenant commander, staff commander, captain / major, rear admiral / general, admiral, fleet admiral. Systems Alliance N7. The Alliance Military Vocational Code system classifies the career path of all serving personnel. The MVC consists of one letter and one number. A soldier's MVC indicates proficiency, not rank. The letter notes the career path. The number indicates the level of experience, as indicated by service record, technical scores, and commendations. All 26 letters are used, and numbers run from 1 to 7. N is the letter code for special coaches and personnel, which means that Shepherd as an N7 is Special Forces, and the number is high because it's the highest level of experience he had. Cool. Oh, a timeline. Here we go. 2069. Armstrong Outpost at Shackleton Crater becomes the first human settlement on Luna. It is formally founded July 24th, 100th anniversary of the first lunar landing. 2103. Laos City in Eos Chasma becomes the first human settlement on Mars. 2137. Edenville Ashland Energy Corporation demolishes helium-3 fuel extraction from the atmosphere of Saturn. Demonstrates, not demolishes, sorry. 2142. Construction of Gagarin Station, Jump Zero, begins beyond the orbit of Pluto. 2148. Prospectors discover the Prothean ruins at the Promethean Planium on Mars. 2149. Translation of the Prothean data leads humans to Charon mass relay. System Alliance founded to coordinate exploration and colonization of extrasolar worlds. Keen. 2151. A shipping accident at Singapore International Spaceport exposes downwind communities to containers of dust form element 0. The Alliance begins construction of the Arcturus station. 2152. Roughly 30% of the children born in Singapore after element 0 exposure suffer from cancerous growths. The Systems Alliance begins settlement of Earth's first extrasolar colony world, the planet Demeter. 2154. Commander Shepard is born. Alright. 54 were born. 2155. Systems Alliance occupied completed portions of Arches Station as headquarters. 2156. Some children of Singapore exhibit minor telekinetic abilities. 2157. Taurans encounter human explorers. First Contact War. Occupation and liberation of the human colony on Shanxi. 2158. Humans learn the potential of biotics. An international effort to track element zero exposures begin. Roughly 10% of the exposed children show some level of bionic ability. 2160. Systems Alliance Paramount formed. 2165. Humans establish an embassy on the Citadel. At this point I'm almost 10. Around 10, right? Yeah. Okay. 2170. Barrio enslavers attack the Alliance colony of Mindor. 2176. Skyline Blitz. Pirates and slavers attacked Elysium, the human capital in the Skylian village. 2177. Thresher Mars devour the Alliance colony of Akuz. So when the attack happened on Akuz, let's see, 23, I think? Around 23, alright. In retaliation for the Skylian Blitz, the Alliance fleet wipes out an army of slavers on the moon of Torfan. And now it's 2183 is the current date, which means we are just shy of 30 years old, or 29, I think. My math is good. Oh no, there's so much. Let me see. How long have I been talking? I've been talking for so long. Alright, okay. Oh, okay, maybe these ones are smaller. Alright. Arches Station is the gateway to Seoul, a 5-kilometer diameter Stanford tourist-type space station at the trailing Lagrange point of the gas giant Themis. Themis? Yeah. Construction on Arches Station began in 2151, before I was born, and concluded in 2162. It was inaugurated in 2156. Wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. It has served as military and political headquarters of the Systems Alliance from the First Contact War until the present, when humanity activated the Charon mass relay in 2149. It led to Arches, 36 light years from Sol, Earth's sun. Arcturus is the third brightest star seen from Earth. It is ancient red giant from the generation before Sol. Its worlds are either gas giants or ice chunks. While some rocky debris exists, the metal content is 25% lower than normal. To build Arches Station, metallic asteroids were towed through the mass relay to the construction site. Many of these asteroids remain near the station. They're mined out areas homed to transcendent constellations. The expense of bringing construction materials into the system was acceptable due to its strategic value. With 3 primary mass relays in addition to the secondary one to Seoul, Arches is a major communications and military choke point. The Alliance First Fleet is based in Arches, where it can guard the gates to Seoul and can react to incursions in 3 connected clusters. The station also hosts the Military Alliance Parliament and the Systems Alliance Military General Headquarters. Its permanent population is approximately 45,000. Arches is actually from the galactic halo, one of a cluster of 52 stars that are crashing through the disk of the galaxy. In a billion years, Arches will be sailing through the depths of extragalactic dark space. Fun. Ships. Oh, there's a bunch of ships. Okay. Let's see if we can get through all of this within the hour mark. New space travelers ask, what does it look like outside of a ship moving faster than the speed of light? Part of the answer can be seen in a simple pane of glass. Light travels slower through glass than it does through open air. Light also moves slower in conventional space than it does in high-speed mass effect fields. This causes refraction. Any light entering at an angle is bent and separated into the spectrum. Objects outside the ship will appear refracted. The greater the difference between the objective exterior and the subjective interior speeds of light, the greater refraction. As the subjective speed of light is raised within the field, objects appear to redshift, eventually becoming visible only to radio telescope antennae. High-energy electromagnetic sources, normally hidden to the eye, become visible in the high blue spectrum. As the speed of light continues to be raised, X-ray, gamma rays, and eventually cosmic rays become visible. Or ray sources become visible. Stars will be replaced by pulsars, the accretion disks of black holes, quasars, and gamma holes. To an outside observer, a ship with a Mass Effect drive appears blue shifted. If within a field that allows travel at twice the speed of light, any radiation that emits has twice the energy as normal. If a ship is in a field about 200 times the speed of light, it radiates visible light as X-rays and gamma rays, and the infrared heat from the hull is blue shifted up to the visible spectrum or higher. The ships moving at faster than light speed, or FTL speed, are visible at a great distance, though their signature will only propagate the speed of light. Cabins on each crew considerations. Okay, cabins on each individual cabins give each individual 10 cubic meters of space. On larger vessels, private rooms are common. As ships get smaller, the number of crew packed into a single wardrobe increases. Asari prefer shared spaces even on large vessels, like Krogan territorial instincts make it impossible for them to cohabitate even on the smallest of ships. On smaller vessels, hot bunking is the norm. Crew members assigned to different watches share the same bunk. When one gets off duty, he wakes up the person in the bunk. While that crewman is on duty, the person gets his rack time. Spacecraft compartments can be isolated by airtight doors in case of decompression. The cinematic vision of explosive decompression is fiction. Hold compartments either take enough damage that occupants are killed instantly, or leak slowly enough that they are able to reach protective gear. Let's see here. Compartments are equipped with emergency life support apparatus. Fireproof elastic bubbles, or plastic bubbles with air bowels. Small when stowed, ELSA comfortably accommodate one individual inflated. Damage control procedure cuts off the ventilation to burning compartments. Without oxygen consumed, the fires die in seconds. The compartment is repressurized afterwards for crew recovery. Mass Effect fields create an artificial gravity, AGRAV, plane below the decks, preventing muscle atrophy and bone loss in 0G. Large vessels arrange their decks perpendicular to their thrust axis. The highest decks are at the bow, the lowest at the engines. This allows a grav to work within the inertial effects of the thrust. Ships that can land arrange their decks laterally so the crew can move about while the vessel is on the ground. Warships normally turn off their AGRAV systems during combat, reducing the heat generated by the systems and increasing the combat endurance. To provide a point of reference for navigating in 0G, the floors are painted a different color than the walls and ceiling. That's smart. Cruiserweight stations are standard combat units encountered away from large naval bases. The poor, bloody infantry of most fleets. Nimble scouting frigates have neither the punch nor the stamina to stand up to serious combat, and the mighty dreadnoughts are a strategic resource, carefully hoarded and committed to the most critical battles. Cruisers perform routine independent show-the-flag patrols in settled settlements and lead flotillas of frigates in small engagements such as pirate suppression campaigns. In major fleet engagements, Cruiser squadrons support the Dreadnought's battle line by screening their flanks against enemies attempting to maneuver for main gun bow shots from their vulnerable broadsides. Alliance cruisers are named after cities on Earth. Oop, no. Sorry, I wasn't done. Did that one. Dreadnoughts. The Dreadnoughts are the ultimate arbiter of space warfare. Millions of tons of metal, ceramic, polymer, dedicated to the protection of firepower against an enemy vessel of like ability. No sane commander would face a Dreadnought with anything less than another Dreadnought. A Dreadnought's power lies in its length of its main gun. Dreadnoughts range from 800 meters to 1 kilometer long, with the main gun commensurate length of commensurate length. An 800-meter mass accelerator is capable of accelerating 2 kilogram? Kilogram is small, right? I don't know. Kilograms slug to a velocity of 283 kilometers per second every 2 seconds. Each slug has the kinetic energy of 38 kilotons of TNT, 3 times the energy released by fission weapons that destroyed Hiroshima. When used to bombard planets, some of this kinetic energy is lost due to the atmospheric re-entry friction. As a rule of thumb, each Earth atmosphere of air pressure saps approximately 20% of a projectile's impact energy. The Terran fleet presently has 37 dreadnoughts, which means we have like seven, right? Oh, sorry. If I had read further, I would get there. The Asari has 21, the Solarians 16, Humanity has 6, with an additional hull under construction at Argus Station. Alliance battleships are named for mountains on Earth. Everest-class, Everest, Fuji, and Elbrus. Kilimanjaro-class, Kilimanjaro, Taishan, Shasta, Aconcagua is under construction. Starships. Fighters are single-pilot Stambat small crafts. They are lightweight enough that they can be economically fitted with powerful element 0 cores, making them capable of greater acceleration and sharper maneuvers than starships. Kinetic barrier shields change starship battles from short, vicious bloodbaths to extended, indecisive slugging matches. Only the main gun of a dreadnought could punch a mass accelerator slug through the barriers of opposing dreadnought. This changed the development of fighter-launched mass disruptors. Disruptor torpedo, a short-range weapon that can penetrate kinetic barriers to destroy their projector assembly. Starship Garadon defenses must be overwhelmed through swarm tactics. Fighter groups can take heavy casualties pressing their torpedo attacks home. Once fighter-launched torpedoes have crippled an enemy barrier, the mass accelerators on frigates and cruisers can make short work of them. Interceptors are a type of fighter optimized to attack other fighters with no ability to damage star tracks. Interceptors are used to screen friendly units from incoming fighter attacks. So their shields are kinetic. So we're dealing with Dune-esque shields. The slow blade penetrates. Let's see here. Frigates are light escort and scouting vessels. They often have extended guard-on systems to provide anti-fighter screening for capital ships and carry a squad of Marines for security and ground side duty. Unlike larger vessels, frigates are able to land on planets. Frigates' drive systems allow them to achieve high, faster-than-light cruise speeds. They also have proportionally larger thrusters and lighter design mass, allowing them to maneuver more handily. In combat, speed and maneuverability make a frigate immune to long-range fire of larger vessels. In time it takes the projectiles to reach them. The frigates are no longer there where they were predicted to be. In fleet combat, frigates are organized into wolf pack flotillas of 4 to 6. Wolf pack speed through enemy formations, hunting enemy vessels whose kinetic barriers have been taken down by fighter-launched disruptor torpedoes. The Wolfpack circle strafes the vulnerable turrets, using their superior speed and maneuverability to evade return fire. Alliance frigates are named for great battles in human history. And then we've got starship sensors. Let's see. Light lag prevents sensing in real time at great distances. A ship firing its thrusters at the Sherman relay can be easily detected from Earth 5.75 light hours, 6 billion kilometers away. But Earth will only see the event 5 hours and 45 minutes after it occurs. Due to light speed limit, defenders can't see enemies coming until they have already arrived. Oh no. Because there is FTL travel and communications but no FTL sensors, frigates are crucial for scouting and picket duties. Passive sensors are used for long-range detection, while active sensors obtain short-range, high-quality targeting data. Whoa, too far. Passive sensors include the visual, thermographic, and radio detectors that watch and listen for objects in space. A powered ship emits a great deal of energy. The heat of the life support systems, the radiation given off by the power plants and electrical equipment, the exhaust of the thrusters, starships stand out plainly against the near absolute zero background of space. Passive sensors can be used during faster than light travel, but incoming data is significantly distorted by the effects of the mass effect envelope and the Doppler shift. Active sensors are radar and higher resolution LiDARs, laser detection and ranging, that emit a ping of energy and listen for return samples. LiDAR have narrower field of view than radar, but later resolution allows images of detected squads to be assembled. Active sensors are useless when a ship is moving at FTL speeds. Okay. Technology. Oh, jeez. Okay. Biotics manipulate mass effect fields using dozens of element zero modules within their nervous systems that react to electronic stimuli from the brain. Amplifiers allow bionics to synchronize the modules so they can form fields large and strong enough for practical use. Amplifiers can improve specific disciplines or talents. An implant which is a surgically embedded interface port into which amps are plugged in. On humans, the implant is usually placed at the base of the skull for convenient access, though the user must be careful to keep it free of contaminants. Implants can fit a variety of amps, and there is a growing market for modifications and add-ons. The finest quality implants and amps are manufactured by Asari artisans, but the Alliance's L3 implants, which, if you remember, Caden has an L2, right? Or did he get the L3? I think he got the L3, right? First deployed in 2170, are a significant step forward. I don't know, maybe the doc can tell us. I can't remember now. Real-time communication is possible thanks to networks of expensive mass relay convoys that can daisy train a transition via lasers. Convoys are maintained in patterns built outward from each mass relay. The buoys. The buoys are a little more than a cluster of primitive miniature mass relays. Each individual buoy is connected to a partner on the other buoy in the next network, forming a corridor of low-mass space. Tight beam communication lasers are piped through these tubes of FTL space, allowing virtually instantaneous communication to anywhere on the network. Space is made of tubes. The networks connect across regions by communications through communication lasers through mass relays. With this system, the only communication delay is the light lag between the source or destination of the closest buoy. So as long as all parties remain within half a light second, 150,000 kilometers of the buoys, seamless real-time communications are possible. Since buoys are maintained in all traveled areas, most enjoy unlimited constant instant communication. Ships only suffer communication lag when operating off established deep space routes around uninhabited outer system, gas giants, or other unsettled areas. During wartime, comm buoy networks are the first target of attack. Once a network has been severed, it can take anywhere from weeks to years to get a message out of a contested system. In systems where a buoy network has not yet been built or has been destroyed, rapid communication means ferrying information through high-speed courier ships and unmanned data drones. Communications. While comm buoys allow rapid transmission, there is a finite amount of bandwidth available. Given that trillions of people may be trying to pass a message through a given buoy at any one time, access to the network is parceled out on priority tiers. Citadel Council and the Spectres have absolute priority. If they are using all the bandwidth, everyone else must wait. Individual governments and their militaries enjoy the next highest tier. During wartime, civilian communication can suffer hours or even days of lag. Intelligence agencies study ping time through various systems to predict military buildups. Oh, there was more. Below the governments and militaries, bandwidth priority is sold to the highest bidder. Media conglomerates, particularly headline news networks, purchase higher priority to provide their viewers with timely information. Corporations that require timely information and response capability, for example, financial institutions and investment firms, also invest heavily in priority access. And the funds acquired through sales of bandwidth are used to maintain and expand the communication infrastructure. While everyone with a computer has guaranteed free and unlimited access to the extranet, they are last in line for bandwidth and may have to wait for the request to be processed. Bandwidth real estate of corporations used to invest capital. Resale corporations use investment capital to purchase blocks of high-priority access made available by paid prescription. Credits. Standard credit was established by the Citadel's Unified Banking Act as the currency of interstellar trade. The credit has a managed floating exchange rate calculated in real time by the central bank to maintain an average value for all participating currencies. Some regional currencies are worth more than a credit, some less. Hard currency can be stolen and counterfeited, so electric fund transfers are the norm. More importantly, physical transactions cannot easily be tracked, making them ideal for tax evasions or the purchase of illicit goods. Illegal goods. When the Alliance joined the Citadel, its various national treasuries were linked into a credit network. A human with a bank account in Mexican pesos, Japanese yen, or Indian rupees can purchase any item priced in credits at a fair market value. All economies that participate in the credit network are required to price items in both local currency and credits. Last one. Oh yeah. The development of practical manufacturing of omni-tools allows modern militaries a great deal of flexibility in equipment loadouts. A vast number of field modification kits or upgrades are available for common equipment such as weapons, armor, omni-tools, bionic amps, and even grenades. An upgrade kit typically consists of less than a dozen unique parts, and optical storage disk. When loaded into the Omni tool, the OSD provides all the technical specifications required to manufacture the tools and additional parts necessary to install the upgrade into another piece of equipment. Assembly is typically modular, and installation can be completed in less than a minute. Since Omni tools are designed to use common battlefield salvage materials such as plastics, ceramics, and light metals, rendered into semi-molten Omni-gel for quick use, it's quite possible for a trained soldier carrying upgrade kits to customize gear on the battlefield to fit the current situation. I see. What is on my finger here? Sorry, 1 second. Splinter? Seemed to have a splinter. Okay. Alright, did I read all the things? I read all the things. Oh no. I read all the secondary things. Oof. Oh, there's so many. We'll do that one in a separate video. Let's see. Where are we at video-wise? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to end this one here, start a new one. Oop.